Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today, we head to Judge O'Donnell's courtroom, where we have two videos to cover, including a stalker who just doesn't understand that when the court says stay away, they mean stay away. And then, we have another bullshit artist trying to paint a Picasso while Judge O'Donnell whips out his paint thinner just to see through the nonsense. We're gonna start with the stalker, which actually picks up right as his lawyer was making an argument for him being on probation instead of jail time. So let's begin.
So I believe that they have beat it into him, if it wasn't already done, that Kristen is no longer a part of your life. Even with the report of his income tax being sent over to the house and then somebody else cashing it, that was upsetting to him. I said, contact the police, make a report, and the IRS is investigating that, and he has just let it go. So he has been making better decisions, and I think once he gets a good job, gets back on his feet as best he can, that we won't have any other issues with him, and he knows to stay away from her, even after December of 2025, because she is no longer part of his life and she does not want to be. I've stressed that to him, his father has stressed that to him, and he's acknowledged that, and I think it's in his head now that he has moved on beyond this, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henley. What do you want to tell me?
I'm very sorry, Your Honor, that this happened. I'm sorry I made those stupid mistakes. They definitely will not happen again. Everything that Mr. Deebs has just said is all currently true. And, I'm just trying to move on with my life and have a better life. And, that's really all I'd say. It will not happen ever again.
Why did it happen?
I was trying to get my dog back, actually, and like I said, I did try to call the clerk's office, and like I said, they said
Did you get a copy of the order?
I did.
Did
Get
you
a copy.
read the order?
Yes, I did. Your Honor.
Then if you read the order and it gave you a date certain and what your obligations were, why did you call the clerk's office?
Because I had ran into somebody that was one of her friends, said she wants to give you your dog back, and I said, I didn't want nothing to do with it. A week had gone by, and I said, well, because she had told me she dropped the protection order. That's why I made the call to the clerk's office. And like I said, but I should have came here, made definitive, not just went off over the phone. It was my mistake. And like I said,
What's been your fascination with this girl that you keep
it
bothering?
really, Your Honor, was not the girl. I was trying just to get my dog back. That really.
Why did you bring flowers to her?
Just a peace offering. That was it when I went there.
Okay. I don't believe that, but that's okay.
You're not the only one, because I'm not buying for a minute that he was bringing those flowers over as a peace offering while he picked up his dog, unless it was a piece of ass he was hoping that she would be offering in return.
I mean, your history.
I really didn't want to be in a relationship with her anymore.
Yes, you did, because you couldn't understand why you were living there and all of a sudden you were not unwelcome, right?
No, when she asked me to leave, I had left and got my own place to live.
Okay, then why do you keep getting protection orders against you? Why do you keep running in and out of Painesville Municipal Court in the last few years?
Well, those were very stupid mistakes that will not happen again, Your Honor.
But that kind of goes against what you're telling me, that once she broke it off with you, you just kind of went away and left it alone. It's because you didn't. And and what's concerning about you, other than this activity in and of itself, is you play around with drugs, if you have in the past. You've had domestic violence, multiple domestic violences in the past, and disorderly conducts and resisting arrest. So you don't seem to take direction very well.
Well, I've made a lot of changes in my life, Your Honor, and I have been sober for over 2 years now, and my life is going in the right direction, and I'm really working on it. I really am. I have a great job opportunity right now, and I really hope that that's able to happen.
Yeah, well, if that's going to succeed, then you probably should stop with the bullshit excuses of a butt dial, or I thought the order was up and somebody told me, and all that stuff, okay? Because, I mean, this is the shit that teenagers do.
I'm
It's,
sorry, Your Honor.
this is a stupid case. It's a stupid case that's entirely your fault because of the way you act,
You are
like a
correct.
17-year-old. That's what you were acting like. Anything else you want to say?
And I am sorry for everybody's time and trouble that I put them through with this. I apologize.
Well, the time and trouble doesn't matter, okay? The time and trouble matters to you, or it should matter to you. All the time you spent on this thing, and all the exposure you've had for yourself because of this stupid thing. That's
Yes, it's made a huge impact on my life.
Ms. Gold.
Thank you, Your Honor. It could not have been made clearer to the defendant that there was a protection order in place. He had just gotten out of jail for serving time for violating a protection order with the same victim when he left that voicemail and when he went to her house. Since this incident, the victim has gotten security cameras. The victim is not participating in violations of the protection order. She is afraid of the defendant and she wants the defendant out of her life. It is clear that the defendant has not learned from the time that he spent in jail for violating a protection order. And today he called these a mistake. These were not a mistake. These were a deliberate decision to go to the victim's house when he has a protection order, to walk up to her door. That is a deliberate decision that the defendant made. And for these reasons, the state is asking for community control sanctions to include local jail time.
I can't say that I disagree with her assessment and recommendations. He clearly doesn't follow court orders, and a little bit of probation mixed in with some jail time might chill his floral chivalry. But let's see what Judge O'Donnell thinks.
Well, Ms. Gold is absolutely right when she says that these weren't mistakes. These were actions that you decided to undertake for the warped reasons you decided to undertake them, okay? All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report. I've listened to Mr. Henley and listened to counsel. I've considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. I'm going to put you on community control for 5 years. I'm going to sentence you to 4 days in jail with credit for 4. I'm not going to put you in jail any more than what you've served before, okay? And the reason I'm doing that, before I get to the rest of the terms, that if you continue to screw around like this anymore, then you'll get credit for the 4 days when you serve 12 months in prison. Because we're not going to screw around with this shit. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? You're to have no drugs or alcohol and you'll be screened. You're to have no contact of any type with the victim. That means you, that means anybody on your behalf. Okay, so if you're thinking of a way to contact her without contacting her, and you do that, and I find out you did it, then you'll go to prison for 12 months. You're to obtain and maintain full-time employment, and you're going to pay the costs and supervision fees of this case. And you're going to enter into and complete the decision points program through probation. Mr. Mr. Tompkins, anything else?
Just 2 things. We would just ask for mental health evaluation to follow recommendations. And then in regards to the GPS, is that coming off today?
Well, that was a condition of bond, right?
Correct.
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the bond's gonna be released. So I want you to get a mental health evaluation and follow all recommendations. You understand the terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any question about the terms?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, if you violate the terms, and the state will file a motion to terminate your community control, and if I find you violated, I'll send you to prison for 12 months. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Am I making myself perfectly clear?
You are.
Anything else, Ms. Gold?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Deeb?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're adjourned.
So, just as the prosecutor recommended, a few days in jail that he's already served, and 5 years of probation because he couldn't follow court orders to stay away from his ex-girlfriend. Now we're going to stay in Judge O'Donnell's courtroom as we move on to our next hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. We are here this morning for the sentencing hearing in State of Ohio versus Michael W. Porter, case number 23 CR 764. Defendant is present and represented by Nicole Novotny. Also, probation officer Nicole Newman is present. At our previous change of plea hearing on November 5th, 2024, defendant pled guilty to count 1, F5, possession of cocaine, and count 2, F3, tampering with evidence. Court ordered referrals for pre-sentence report and drug and alcohol evaluation to be completed. Both have been completed. However, the defendant never signed releases forms for probation to receive said medical records, so there are substantial missing records about his substance use disorder treatment and activity. The state's position is that the defendant has 21 days of jail time credit, 2 days for his initial arrest, July 2nd, 2024, before his release on July 3rd, 2024, and then 19 days after he was rearrested on October 27th, 2024, and then released on November 14th, 2024.
After the 2 days, he was released when?
He was in jail July 2nd to July 3rd, 2024. Then he was arrested again on October 27th, 2024, and then released by this court on November 14th, 2024. So I think it's 19 plus 2 days for a total of 21 days.
Okay.
And there is no agreed sentencing recommendation, which is going to vote. Thank you.
Your Honor, when it comes to sentencing, we would ask the court to consider community control sanctions for my client. Ultimately, he considers this case in this circumstance as a blessing in disguise. He wants to take this negative and turn it into a positive. He really has had a trouble in his life, as you can see through the pre-sentence report, that he has trouble staying sober. He has taken initiative to try to stay sober by enrolling himself in Evolve. From my understanding, with speaking with the case manager there previously, Luke, and ultimately providing the court documentation prior, he has been with Evolve, from my understanding, since April 22nd of 2024. I do not, unfortunately, which I informed you in chambers, don't have an updated letter from Evolve. It has been very hard to get a hold of a case manager, unfortunately, with that respect. But with talking with my client, what happens, and for my last conversation with the case manager, they plan to restart the whole treatment process with Michael. Ultimately, they plan to start from square one. They also provide him with supportive housing, so he does stay and be a part of Evolve. They do provide him to transportation purposes, for court purposes, as well as what he has been doing with working. Michael has been involved with home improvement for the last 15 years. I actually had a conversation with his boss prior to coming into court today. He stated he would be here, but he has a job that he had to attend to, so unfortunately was unable to make it to court today, but states that Michael is trying to be on the straight path. He has been working constantly and maintaining his sobriety the best that he can with that respect, and wanted to be here today, but unfortunately, like I informed the court, due to his current job that he's on, he was unable to be here. He does have a sponsor, Michael does. He keeps in touch with that sponsor. Ultimately, he does go, and I know he has had some fluxes with going to his mental health provider at the centers, but he does have the centers as a support system for his mental health with that respect.
I don't know what Evolve is. And I don't know what the centers is. Go ahead.
With that respect, Your Honor, we would just ask the court to consider any community control sanctions.
One of my favorite parts of these court videos is watching these public defenders try to navigate their paper-thin canoe up the shit creek that their defendants put them in. And while this case is literally open and closed, I still feel like she did a good job making him sound less like a dipshit than he really is.
What's evolve?
Evolved behavior. It's a rehab center. They do classes and stuff. PHP, IOP, aftercare. They help you with housing afterwards. They help you with going to the doctors.
Where is evolve?
It's in Middleburg Heights.
What is it? What is the physical structure of evolve?
It's like a. Okay, so they have houses, and then you live in it, and then they take you back and forth.
Back and forth to what?
To the center, to where the classes are, and then
What
they
kind
take
of classes?
the IOP and the PHP and the one-on-one counseling.
And then what do you do?
Then we go to meetings 6 days a week. We have chores we have to do.
Where were you from July 3rd until October 27th? July 3rd of 2023 till October 27th of 2024.
So I've been with, okay, yeah. I've been with Evolve.
What?
I've been with Evolve for
Did he
that
miss a
long.
court date or something, Mr. Hurd?
Yes, I believe he failed to appear in this matter. Let me check 1 second.
Yes, he did fail to appear in 2023, but there's notes from the previous attorney on this case that ultimately there is a mishap with communication with Evolve and transportation.
All right. What does that mean? What does that mean? You got arrested on July 2nd, you bonded out on July 3rd, and you never showed up for anything. So what was the miscommunication? And when was the miscommunication? How did a miscommunication occur with Evolve?
So I was at Evolve, and I had a.
When? When did you go to Evolve?
I went to Evolve probably about a week or two after I got arrested the first time. I really wanted to get sober anyways. I really want to get sober, you know. So
Why didn't you show up to court?
I was at Evolve and I didn't know what days.
Why didn't you find out what days? I mean, you're an experienced guy with the criminal justice system, right?
Somewhat.
You knew that you had a court date after you bonded out, right?
Yes.
Why didn't you bother to find out when the court date was?
Well, I showed up one time, and then I
When?
couldn't.
When?
The first time I actually was still in Menor, and I walked there.
Okay.
Um,
And then when you showed up in court, you were given another date to show
Yes.
up, right? Why didn't you show up for that one?
I had a lot going on. I guess I didn't. Yes, everything was confusing to me. I was
Well,
in.
you
I
didn't
was
show
in,
up. You didn't show up because you didn't want to show up.
Well, no, I was trying to get a hold of. I had caseworkers working on it and everything.
But it's not the caseworker's case, it's your case.
Yes.
You're the one that is charged. You're the one that had to be there because you were out on bond. And you knew that if you didn't show up, your bond would get revoked, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't show up on the date you were supposed to show up on. And then you didn't show up to anything after that. How did you get arrested in October?
There was a girl that was in my car trying to jump out of the car on the freeway, and I took her to the hospital, and I didn't have a license when I was driving.
Hold on. Back up a little bit to before the not having a driver's license part. Did you say that a girl tried to jump out of your car while you were driving on the highway, so you had to take her to the hospital? You think maybe your drug problem is exacerbated by the dumb fucks you surround yourself with?
Why haven't you signed a release for Miss Newman to get your records from this Evolve place?
I was planning on leaving Evolve because I wanted to start over and go to a different facility. And then I went back to, because it was in the process of me changing treatment centers and
From where?
Evolve to Stella Maris.
Okay, when was that?
That was right around the time that she asked me. I was trying to switch places, and
Okay. Is that your recollection, Ms. Newman?
Your Honor, this is the first that I'm hearing about it. When I spoke to him on the phone, he was still at Evolve, and I asked him to
Yes.
sign the release because ours were not valid, they would not accept them. And he
Okay.
told me he would.
And why didn't you?
because I didn't go back, I was planning on going to a different facility.
You were planning on going?
I was trying to go to Stella's. I was talking to them.
Okay, but you didn't?
No, I didn't. They didn't have a bed, so I went. I went back to Evolve.
Okay, so why didn't you sign the release when you found out Stella didn't have a bed?
I have no excuse. No.
I know you have no excuse. But the question was, why didn't you do it?
I mean, it's not even. I'll do it. I mean, it's just messed up. I haven't been doing my.
You've been a lousy performer on probation over the years, haven't you?
I would say.
Okay. So you were supposed to, was that a phone interview you were supposed to do with Jan, Nicole?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You're supposed to do a phone interview and you blew that off for a while and eventually did it, right?
Which one was that?
To go to,
Neocab.
Neocamp, yeah.
Okay, you blew that off for a while and then finally got on the phone with her, right?
Well,
No?
I mean, I had a good conversation with her. I thought.
What happened with that contact, Nicole?
Your Honor, Jan set up an appointment to meet with him at noon, and when she called him at noon, he never answered the phone. It took her calling multiple times until he finally answered about an hour, hour and a half later.
Okay. And what did you tell Jan when she talked to you?
Well, whatever she asked me. She asked me.
Did you ask her anything?
Probably. I mean, we talked for a long time.
Do you recall what you asked her?
No, not really.
Nicole, do you know what he asked Jan?
Well, he had asked me what to say in order to get out of going to the
Oh.
OCAP.
Exactly how many crayons did you eat that morning? Because it was clearly a brain lethal amount, especially when they're the ones who determine what the recommended amount of drug treatment is that you're going to receive.
Why did you ask her that?
Because I didn't want to be taken away from, my support group, my sponsor.
What support group?
Huh?
What support group?
All my AA family.
How do I know any of this is true?
Well, I could make phone calls, but I mean, I have a page and a half.
How do I know you went to Evolve? How do I know what you did at Evolve? How do I know how often you participate at Evolve? What do I know about the centers?
It's my doctors.
Okay, I don't know anything about it because we don't have any records. Because you won't sign releases.
Oh,
When's the
I'm
last
fine.
time you went to the centers?
Probably about a couple weeks before I went to jail. And I missed all my appointments while I was in jail.
So you were going to all your appointments at the centers before that?
I was probably missing some every once in a
Why?
while. Why? Because of work or something. I put work in front of a lot of things.
Well, don't you think, based on your record, that you ought to put work second to trying to get your act together and stay sober and stay out of jail and stay out of prison?
Yes.
I mean, your way hasn't worked very well, has it?
Facts.
Huh?
True, yes.
Okay. What do we know about the centers, Nicole?
Your Honor, I have no information from the centers. I can tell you that he told Jan that he has missed his appointments with his counselor, and he couldn't even provide the name until he found the business card. But he said he hasn't been going to his appointments.
So you didn't even know who you were seeing there?
No, I don't.
Okay, see, I don't,
Her name, I just didn't remember her name. It was Caitlin.
what were you going to her for?
I was going to see her. She is my, my person I talk to, counselor or whatever.
For what?
Mental health or whatever, I guess.
Or whatever what? I mean, what's your diagnosis?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't remember stuff like that.
Okay, you're the guy that sits here trying to bullshit your way through to get out of as much trouble as you can get out of, to be as free as you can be, to not do anything in order to be left alone, which you did for a year and 3 months, right? Almost 4 months.
I mean, I really got sober then. I learned a lot about
You
sobriety.
got sober when? You mean you were sober from the time you went to Evolve in July of 23 until you got arrested in October of 24?
I messed up 2 times before that.
2 times, when?
I don't remember the dates. My mind don't work like that. I messed up about 6 months into it, and then again about
So
7
in
months.
January of 24, you did something? You took some drugs or something?
Yes,
And then when?
and then I stopped. It was just like a 1-day thing, and then I stopped, and then I did another 6 months, and then I messed up again.
So in July?
I couldn't tell you the dates.
Well, you said 6 months from the time you got arrested, so that brings us to January, and then you said another 6 months. That brings us to July, right?
Okay, yes.
So you only did, what drugs did you do on those 2 occasions?
One time was drinking, one time was crack.
Okay. When was the crack?
Second time.
So why did you do the crack the second time?
Uh,
Now, this whole discussion is premised on the fact that I'm believing what you told me. So why did
Yes.
you do crack that second time?
So, a friend of mine that was sober for 2 years relapsed, and I thought I was strong enough to help him. The first day, I helped him, and I got him to throw away his stuff. And then the second day, he got more, and I hit it once.
Why?
Because I'm an addict, I guess. I don't
But you-
know.
but
I
you-
felt
but you
so.
hadn't-
It was the worst thing I ever did because I
But
felt
in
so.
July of 24, that was the first time you had done crack in how long?
I don't know the dates. Which one was that? The second one or the first one?
The second one. You told me it was the second one.
All right. So before that, it was like a year, and when I came into Evolve,
So why all of a sudden did you start back again with the crack?
um,
After a year of not doing it?
I wish I knew.
Well,
I mean, there's no the fact that I've been doing it for so long, and it's me trying to change my way of life, and every once in a while it comes back, and I don't know, it just you can't control it sometimes.
But you can control it by not putting yourself in those situations to begin with, by calling your sponsor or a helpline when you get the urge to relapse. But doing those things require the one thing that you just don't have, and that's the desire to truly change yourself.
well,
So-
according to you, you controlled it for a year.
I did, and I was doing certain things that helped me, and then I would slowly stop doing those things one by one, and noticing that is, what I learned from that relapse.
What did you learn from the relapse?
Okay, so you get up, you make your bed, you do this, you got a routine, you got to start getting a routine of sober life, because all I know is drug life, so once I get a routine going, and then I start missing something, like making my bed or doing this because I'm late. Those little things
How long were you in Evolve when you said you went there in July of '23?
Was that when I first went there?
This is what you
Yes.
told me.
That's my first time I went there. That's the first time I ever tried to get sober.
So the question was, how long were you there the first time you went there?
In there from July 23 until January, then we went to Summer Mass.
Till January. I don't know dates, I'm sorry.
So you were there for 6 months?
At least.
I don't suppose you have any records of that stint?
I could get
I
down.
do not, Your Honor.
Okay. Don't you think the records are important based on what you're telling me?
Yes.
So why don't you have them?
Um,
Why didn't you get them to her? Why did you leave Evolve then after 6 months?
when I messed up,
Which time?
the first time, I went to a different rehab then.
Where?
I went to a surgeon then.
A what?
A surgeon. It's another rehab. It's
A
on the-
surgeon?
A surgeon, yes.
How do you spell that?
I don't know.
I never heard of this. Is that like surgeon, like a guy who cuts people?
Yeah, but it's a surgeon.
Okay, you ever heard of that?
I have not, Your Honor.
Okay, where's the surgeon?
It's on the east side.
Where on the east side?
Okay, so
Cleveland, Euclid, Menor?
the houses were on East Cleveland,
East Cleveland?
yes. Then they took us to the class, and I really couldn't tell you where that was.
And how long were you at a surgeon?
About a month and a half, and then I went to Legends,
Where's Legends?
on the east side.
You ever heard of Legends?
I have heard of Legends, but I do not know much about it.
Where on the east side?
I can't remember the name. It's
Okay, how long were you at Legends?
I was there. I did PHP, and then I did 1 week of ILP, and I was supposed to start working that week, and I hurt my knee, and I couldn't walk for 2 days, and they discharged me. That's when I went back to Evolve.
When?
After Legends, I couldn't give you a date. My mind don't work like
When
that.
in relation to the crack experience in July?
Say that one more time.
You said that you smoked crack in July of this year. Were you at Legends before that? Or
No,
after?
that was okay. So I was like, Evolve, Surgeon, Legends, Evolve, and then there's when I tried to help somebody, and I
And
wasn't
then
strong
after you
enough.
did the crack, where did you go?
I stayed at Evolve.
Okay.
I asked to start ILP over when I was almost done.
I'm starting to notice a pattern here. You're always almost done with something, but never completely done. Every time you go to an outpatient clinic, you don't complete it. You've bounced through 4 different outpatient programs at 3 different clinics. So maybe the problem isn't everyone and everything around you. Maybe the problem is you.
I mean, yours is a story not to be believed, right? Because it all depends on you telling me something and me believing it, right?
Yes.
Okay? And you've been asked to sign releases. Why do you think we need releases?
I didn't realize. I guess I didn't realize how important it was. I will sign. I
Well,
will do the release things. I guess. It's
What?
I will. I will make sure all that.
Well, it's a little late. I mean, you're here for sentencing, okay? I mean, why did I order a pre-sentence report and set this 5 weeks after your plea? Why do you think I did that?
So to get information.
To get the information. Now I'm sitting here without the information, and I don't believe you, okay? So that doesn't help you. So now what am I supposed to do with you? To let you go back to Evolve that you've been there how many times now? 3 or 4? Amongst a surgeon and legends and the centers and maybe not Stella Maris. I mean, you're just jumping from place to place, and I don't know why. I suspect why, okay? I suspect that you're not doing what you're supposed to do, so you keep trying to find something else. So you can always say, here's what I'm gonna do, here's what I wanna do, here's what's gonna make me sober, when I don't think you got the least bit of interest in being sober.
Oh, no, I do.
You've demonstrated that for your entire adult life, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why in the world would I go along with this place that I don't even know, I never heard of it before today. I don't know what it is. You go to this house and you stay at this house, but you kind of come and go as you please at the house you're staying at, right?
Not exactly. I mean,
Not exactly.
You gotta leave with somebody and you gotta sign out and there's cameras.
Once again, how do I know that? I don't. Who was your buddy you were with that you smoked crack with?
His name was Herman. He was just a person that I knew from, that I got sober from the meetings. and
Herman
stuff.
who?
I don't know his last name. I mean, but I mean, he's just somebody that was a good guy, and he got off probation and went back to drugs, and I tried to help him.
Well, why did he get in contact with you? In July of 24?
It wasn't like a contact thing. It was like we seen each other.
Where?
It was, huh?
Where?
At a meeting.
Where?
104th. There's a coffee shop there. It's a Rise Above
104th?
in Lorraine.
So, what did your sponsor say about that when you called him on that July day at the meeting on 104th? When you said, Herman's here and he wants to do drugs, what did you tell your sponsor?
No, I didn't actually tell him before. I told him after, and that
Why didn't you tell him before?
because I'm still learning this. It's new. It's you know, I mean, it's something that you have to learn. It's something.
Why in the world would you want to be on probation?
Because I think I could do it. Number one.
Well, I don't think you can. I mean, you don't show up, right?
What-
You spent a year and 3 months, a year and 4 months not showing up.
I was trying to get my stuff together, you know, and I did have. Okay, so there was a counselor at Evolve that I was working with, and she quit. And her words to me was like, "I'm sorry, I failed you," and I'm like, "Oh my God." And from there, it's like it kind of got jumped around. But I was.
She didn't fail you, right? You failed yourself.
Well, I
It's
mean,
not up to her to make you succeed, is it? It's not up to Evolve or the centers or a surgeon or the legends or Stella Maris to make you succeed, is it?
no, it's up to me.
So why would you tell me that, what you just told me, that she said she failed you?
I don't. That's what she said. But
Well, who cares what she said? What does that mean?
right.
I mean, you're just, it's like you're sitting there with a shield deflecting everything. The blame belongs somewhere else other than you.
No, it definitely belongs to me. I did this to my life. I'm the only one that could fix it.
And so we look for solutions to help you try to fix it, but you don't want those solutions. You want your solutions because that's where you get the most freedom and the most opportunity to do what it is you want to do rather than what you should do. That's your game.
Well, it's not a game. It's what I've been used to for my whole life.
Okay, so why don't you stop doing it?
Well-
If you don't want to keep doing it, why don't you stop doing it and stop doing things your way that don't work? Because it don't work.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to learn how to do.
Okay, so then, when we try it a different way and explore NeoCap, why do you ask Nicole, what do I have to say to get out of it?
Because it's far away.
So?
It's not gonna do.
Far
me.
away from what?
When I leave Neil Camp, who am I gonna know there?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You need to be removed from the toxic environment you exist in currently and go through a complete rewiring of your interior headspace to maybe help eliminate your criminal and self-destructive behaviors. But as long as you keep focusing about the inconvenience that you're going to have to go through to go to this rehab, the longer drugs are going to inconvenience everything else in your life.
Who am I gonna be able to call there when all my support is over here?
What support?
My AA support, my family. That's the family that I have. That I could call anybody at any time of the night and
When's
talk
the
to
last
them.
AA meeting you went to?
It was about a week ago.
And when's the last one before that? How often were you going?
I probably go to one, maybe two a week. I make sure I go to my home group.
And where's your home group?
It's on Trent Avenue, Pro Cop.
All right, if it's such a strong support group, why were you doing crack with a guy that you met at the meeting?
I mean, mistakes happen. I do try.
Mistakes happen.
I mean, I don't even know, I don't know.
I mean, a mistake is when you're driving and you need to take a right-hand turn, but you mistakenly take a left-hand turn, okay? Mistakes don't happen when you're at a meeting, you're offered crack and you take it. That's not a mistake, that's a conscious decision.
At that time, I didn't realize that I was powerless over drugs.
I'm looking at your record, okay? You've been powerless over drugs nearly your entire life.
Yes,
And you just realize that now? You've been to prison, what, 6 times?
yes.
And now you're telling me you're powerless over drugs? You can't, I mean, you just can't sit here and tell me, just spout off a bunch of gobbledygook that you expect me to believe because maybe it's worked before. It doesn't look like it's worked before. You keep going to prison. So why do you do that? Instead of trying to address what the problem is, why do you do that?
I'm trying to.
No, you're not.
No, I really am.
No, you're putting in no effort in this whole thing, okay? So what is NeoCap?
What I know of it, it's like a CBCF.
Okay? How do you know anything about it?
Is that the, I mean, was it, I think I was there.
When?
Yeah, right.
Huh?
I couldn't tell you. But yeah, there's when I was introduced to K2, I think.
You were introduced to K2 at NeoCap?
Yes.
So they're letting drugs in NeoCap?
I mean, that's where I was introduced to the K2, and I don't know,
Hold on.
Yeah, he wasn't at NeoCap, he was sentenced.
somewhere in Youngstown, I don't know, sorry.
15 to the Nancy.
To McDonald House,
McDonald, yep.
okay,
Okay.
which was well-known flow of drugs, okay? So you weren't in NeoCap.
Okay,
So you don't know what NeoCap does.
I do not.
Okay. But you immediately conclude that it's not going to be good for you because your support group won't be there. Maybe you need a different support group. How long have you had this support group in place?
I mean, ever since I got sober.
When?
I've been, you
In
know.
July of 23?
That there's when I started meeting people and starting to, like, you know,
Did-
know people. And
But in that 6 months that you were sober, according to you, did you endeavor to take care of your criminal case that was hanging out there, that you knew was hanging out there?
I knew it was here.
I know you knew it was here. Did you?
There's a
did you
lot of
try to
things I've
take
been
care
wanting
of
to
it?
do. I want to get in contact with my son. I want to call my mom. I want to see if my brother's still alive. But I don't do them things either. I work. I mean, and then I, you know, try and go to meetings, and then I don't know. I don't put things like that, and I messed up. I don't know.
You don't put things like that, what?
I like, you know, like
You
calling my
don't put a
mom.
priority on these things, right?
I don't know what priority is yet. I'm still working on that, I guess.
Okay. It's getting late in the game to not know what priority is, right?
Yes.
Okay? You're not 16. You're 51. So you don't know what the priority is?
I mean, I know, sometimes I don't know how to address it.
And that's exactly what NeoCap is for. Programs like NeoCap are designed to help you address situations in your life where you may be forced to prioritize your family, home, and job over a 15-minute high.
I don't think you want to address it. I think you want to go on doing what you're doing. Because really now, I don't believe that you've only drank one time and did one bit of crack since July 2nd of 23. I don't believe that.
That's true.
Man, I don't think it's true. Do you know how many months you face in prison on this charge, on this case?
A lot.
What's a lot? Do you know?
See, 12, 24, 36, 50,
48.
48.
Mr. Hurd?
Thank you, Your Honor. Between the years 2001 and 2021, the defendant has 7 prior drug-related or property crime felony convictions. He's, as the court mentioned, served a prison term on 6 different occasions. Previously, when he was on community control sanctions, he's had his probation or community control terminated and then was sentenced to prison. So on paper, he's not amenable to community control sanctions. Now in practice, he's also not amenable to community control sanctions. He's consistently inconsistent. He's admittedly bad at dates, but didn't sign any release forms for us to verify any of the dates or things he's telling the court. His bond condition given by this court on November 7th, 2024 was conditioned on him remaining at Evolved Behavioral Health on an inpatient basis.
There is no inpatient at Evolve. It's not inpatient.
And he only
It's go there and live somewhere else. It's go there and live somewhere else. So I feel a little bit deceived from the last time you were here. Go ahead, Mr. Hurd.
Thank you, Your Honors. So he went there, inpatient wasn't even available. He started prioritizing his work over his treatment, which is the causative factor, it seems, of all of his recidivation into prison. He's missing mental health appointments. He doesn't want to answer his phone per probation officer Newman. And it's hard to reach, which is likely indicative of drug use. He said in his pre-sentence report that he relapsed 3 times on crack cocaine for 1 day each time. Now he's saying it was only twice. He is, again, prioritizing work.
No, 1 time with crack, 1 time with alcohol. So
okay, my apologies.
now it turns into 3 times.
The last time. I didn't count that.
Go ahead, Mr. Hurd.
So for these reasons, we would be requesting he be sentenced to a prison term by this court. Thank you.
Why don't you have a license?
I owe $1,500 on it. I started getting warrant blocks off, and
$1,500?
yes.
I thought you'd been concentrating on working.
Why am I concentrating on working?
No, I said I thought you had been concentrating on working.
Yes.
So why haven't you paid the $1,500?
I paid 3 of them. There was a traffic light, I don't know, driving without suspension. I don't know, I paid 3 of them, and then I was working on the other ones.
Your Honor, he has 2 outstanding warrants out of Cleveland Municipal Court, both for driving under suspended license, one from 2013 and one from 2021.
Why didn't you show up there?
I just recently found out that I had those.
You mean you didn't know you got arrested or a ticket for driving under suspension in 21 and 23? You didn't know that?
Well, I mean, I knew I got a ticket. Oh, no, the one time I didn't even get a ticket. They sent it me in the mail,
Okay, and you didn't show up
and I didn't show up.
because you don't like to show up. You never like to show
I
up.
do like to show
No,
up.
you
I'm-
don't.
I mean, I'm doing different things now. I'm trying to change my life.
No, you're not.
I mean, I'm trying to show up when I'm told to show up.
I mean, the only reason you're here now is because you got arrested on something unrelated in October. That's the only reason you're here. So you're not trying to show up anywhere.
Well, no, this was on my mind. I really wanted to take care of this.
Oh, so that's why you waited until you were arrested on a completely unrelated charge to turn yourself in. Alright, I think Judge O'Donnell has had enough of his attempts at manipulation and pitiful mitigation and is ready to hand down his sentence.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the drug and alcohol evaluation. I've listened to Mr. Porter, listened to counsel. I considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. I'm gonna put you on community control for 5 years. I don't have the least bit of faith that you're gonna make it through those 5 years, that you're gonna comply with anything I'm gonna order you to comply with, okay? Because that's your history. And that is kind of your attitude in this whole case. Okay? So there's no chance you're gonna make it. Because you don't really wanna make it. You want to keep on doing what you're doing. But you're going to serve 81 days in the jail with credit for 21. The last 30 days, you'll do the jail treatment program, complete it, and follow all recommendations. After that, you get into the NeoCap program, complete it, and follow the recommendations. After that, you'll spend at least 6 months in a sober living facility. You're to have no drugs or alcohol with screens. You're going to get a mental health evaluation and follow all the recommendations. You're to see only one doctor and one dentist and one pharmacy for prescription medication. You're to take medication only as it's prescribed. You're going to sign releases so probation can get your records. You're going to, at the appropriate time, obtain and maintain full employment, get a valid driver's license, and pay the costs and supervision fees. And anything else, Ms. Newman?
No, Your Honor.
You understand the terms?
Yes.
Do you have any question about the terms?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about the terms?
No, sir.
If you don't comply with the terms, the state will file a motion to terminate your community control, and if I find you violated, then I'll send you to prison for 48 months. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So you figure out what you want to do, okay? You keep telling me you want to change what you're doing. Here's your chance to change what you're doing. Now, it's not going to be real hard to figure out the best way to get kicked out of NeoCap, okay? You'll figure that out in about a day. So if you want to get kicked out of it, get kicked out of it. It's up to you. Then you'll be back. And then you'll be off for 48 months. Anything else, Mr. Hurd?
Could there be an order for him to resolve any outstanding warrants?
Nah, he's going to have to figure that out all by himself.
Okay, and forfeiture of items, Your Honor?
It's forfeited.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Novotny?
No, Your Honor.
Alright, so that's the end of the video. He received the typical 60 days in jail, with the last 30 days in the jail drug program, followed by years of rehab and programs that might help him grow up and finally act like an adult before he turns 60. So if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike. But don't forget to leave a comment below and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of my content. I'm Team Skeptic, and I'm out.